Alright, well, hello, I'm Chris, and this is my how to install a GM distributor correctly and finding top dead center on the compression stroke. There's a distributor. Now we need to figure out how to put this thing in there the right way. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page, this is a 70 Chevelle with a 454. That's an original timing cover, and I checked top dead center when I had the heads off of it. Now whenever you don't have heads on it, there's only one top dead center. But as soon as you put those heads on, now you have two top dead centers, because that crank rotates 2 times for every 1 time the distributor rotates. Alright, now to try to understand this, for every 1 revolution of this distributor on a 4-stroke engine, the crank turns 2 times. So what that means is that you have 2 top dead centers. And that's why you have to find the top dead center at compression. Now we're going to call this top dead center at exhaust. It's at the end of the exhaust. But this is kind of where it all starts. The only thing that you need to be looking for is when that intake valve opens and closes. So let's talk about top dead center real quick. Okay, top dead center is the highest point the piston can reach. Top dead center 0 and you're setting your timing right before 0, top dead center, the highest point of that piston. So if there's 360 degrees in a circle, 0 degrees is the highest point of that piston. So you're trying to set your timing somewhere in here before top dead center where it fires. Now all the air and fuel is being compressed as this piston goes up to the top. Both valves are closed. It's creating like a little mini bomb in here. And then when it fires, now you're entering your power stroke. But that's just kind of an idea of where it's going to fire. If top dead center is 0, you're setting your timing before top dead center 0. The only thing you really need to know is that you're looking for that intake valve to open and close. Okay, so when that intake valve opens and closes, it's sucking in air fuel. And now the intake valve is starting to close about right here. You're farthest away from top dead center. Now it's compressing that air and fuel. Piston's moving towards the top, towards top dead center. As soon as that intake valve closes, now you need to start watching. We're about to enter the second revolution. And that's how come you're going to set your timing before top dead center. Okay, so the only thing you need to pay attention to is that intake valve opening and closing. As soon as it closes, now you need to open your eyes and really start watching that mark near 0 again. And once that mark gets close to 0 on your timing tab, then you can mark your place for your #1 spark plug, set your rotor on your distributor. So the first thing we need to do is we need to take our valve cover off. You're looking for the intake valve to close. And as soon as this thing closes, we're looking for that mark to come up. Okay, so you really want to be doing that with the breaker bar on the crank and no plugs in it, but since I have plugs in it, it's really hard to turn. So I'm going to bump the engine and we're going to watch this one close and the mark should be coming up. Okay, the exhaust valve is closed. Intake's open. So when this intake closes, we're looking for our mark to pop back up. now we're watching for that mark. Intake's closing. Okay, so that's the whole point, is that you have two top dead centers. You have one that as soon as this exhaust valve closes, it's going to hit top dead center, and then it's going to open this intake, and as soon as it closes it, all that's compressing and firing at the top dead center of the compression stroke. Okay, so now it's at top dead center on the compression stroke, about 16 degrees before it. So if it's about 16 degrees before top dead center, ideally you want your number one spark plug wire at the number one cylinder. So since it's 16 degrees before, it would be acceptable for it to point a little bit more this way. Okay, so what usually happens is you see that, you see this. So usually this is just randomly in some direction. So the problem people always have is that they're trying to stab the distributor and they put it in there and it doesn't go in all the way, because this can be anywhere. And you look there, that only has two positions. You point your rotor to number one and it's not meshing, you stab it in there. The way this is designed is when it's not dropping in, it's meshed with the cam gear. So you're just going to turn your crank or bump your motor and it'll drop right in. Okay, so let's do that on the car. Okay, so the intake valve just closed. It's coming up on top dead center on the compression stroke. So let's put our distributor in there. Let's just get it in there. Make sure you have a gasket. GM distributors typically go in this way with the advance right here. Number one spark plug wire is going to be pointed to number one cylinder. Now let's just play with this and see what happens. That's usually how you're going to get it stabbed in there. Just lift up on it, keep playing with it. Okay, it went in now, but that's not right. So let's keep trying. It usually won't do it again until it's all the way on the other side. Okay, see? So that's just all wrong. But we just pick this back up and we're going to go ahead and point it over to number one. See, but since this one is 16 degrees before, it's gonna be a little bit that way. So let's try to see what, let's do it another T-tooth. Okay, see, that's the other gear over. No, I'm just showing you that that's just how you want to get it close. Okay, we like that one? Okay, so normally you would take the plugs out, turn the crank with a breaker bar, and that way you could get it right on zero. But this situation is we already have a complete engine that we're trying to figure out. So the distributor is pointed where we want it, but it doesn't drop in. What do? It's so simple. You just turn your crank over. Okay, we're just gonna bump it with the key real lightly. Just bump it. See what happened? It dropped right in there. That's all you do. Okay, you've seen how freaking simple that was. There were no screwdrivers involved. We didn't have to take the plugs out. We didn't have to do anything weird to it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hook everything back up. Okay, so the distributor's dropped in place. So freaking simple. Put your vacuum advance on. Got your vacuum advance on there. Make damn sure you put this hole down on it before you put any ignition to that, because that damn thing will jump out of there. Alright, you want to tighten it down where it has a little bit of resistance when you time it. hook it up. And I have how to wire a GM HEI and a GM points ignition distributor up if you're having any problems with that, but this is just a aftermarket magnet pickup going to an ignition box. So all it has is just that. All right, that's kind of snug. Get your cap and wires on there. Okay, put the valve cover back on. Take the freaking valve cover off. You need to be 100% sure that as soon as that intake valve closes and that mark's coming up, that you're on top dead center on that compression stroke. You do not want to freaking wire this thing up on the top dead center at the end of the exhaust, because I'm telling you, you're just going to waste so much time. Just take the valve cover off and just make 100% sure. Okay, if you ever have problems with your valve covers leaking and stuff like that, probably because you're over torquing them. They torque to 3 foot-pounds, 36 inch-pounds. There you go. Everything's good. Get our coil wire back on. Everything's wired up. We're going to put a timing light on it. Okay, and if you have number 1 pointed in this direction somewhere, it should fire up on the first turn. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, as soon as this thing fires up, we're going to turn the distributor, try to get it running the best we can, and then we're going to hit it with a timing light. Get it running the best. You get it close, take the vacuum advance off and then idle it down. Just a little bit. Okay. You get it where you want it. Carefully tighten this distributor down without moving it. Hook the vacuum advance back up. Okay, idle it back up to start it, and then set your RPM. We got the distributor in there perfect, where number 1 is pointing at number 1 cylinder. Wired it up, timed it. You see it's running good. Got it all running again. Everything looks fine. If you like the video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.